Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Townsend will hold it. 11 seconds left in Super Bowl 57, 35 tie. The kick is good, and Kansas City leads 38-35 with 8 seconds to go in regulation in Super Bowl 57. Chiefs 38 and the Eagles 35. 6 seconds left in Super Bowl 57 regulation. Hurts takes the snap. The Chiefs only rushing 2 on a delay. Clock is going to be out of time, and the pass is going to be underthrown. It's incomplete. It's incomplete. Everyone who claims the Chiefs Kingdom will raise a banner above the National Football League again. For the second time in 4 seasons, the Lombardi Trophy has a red and gold reflection, a big red reflection. The Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 57.
The incredible Mitch Holtis is called there in Kansas City, or to Kansas City. Kevin Harlan, of course, with Westwood One. Was it super enough? Great to have you in on a Monday. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency. For all your equipment financing needs, go Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. That pained our man, Elijah Herbal, to run those 2 highlights, being the Denver fan he is. But Kansas City right now, 2 championships, 3 trips. Philadelphia, nothing to hang their head about. We'll dive in and react to the Super Bowl. You've had about 24 hours to chew on it. We'll get there. We'll talk about the walk-on program with Nebraska football. What's the right number? What is the right number? Good story from Sam McEwen this morning with his rewind. And Fred Hoiberg. Fred just keeps on keeping on. What a magical day Saturday at PBA for Nebraska basketball. Charlie McBride in 1 hour. And then we'll spend time with Jay Moore in hour 2. His takeaway, the former NFL and Husker ball player, gives us his take. Also, he was at a interesting time in Nebraska football when the walk-on numbers were sliced by Coach Callahan. What's Jay's take on the walk-on numbers? Numbers to get in today at Hail Varsity at 466-3776, 466-3776. Toll free at 800-825-5865, where you hear us across Hail Varsity Radio's network. ESPN Lincoln and Twitter, Facebook, Hail Varsity YouTube, where you can watch the show. Give the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter handle a follow as well at HVarsity Radio. Catch Damon and Andrew weekday mornings from 7 to 9 and catch us on the way home. So, Super Bowl 57 delivered. It was 38-35. Some poignant moments, or do you just remember it for dun-dun-dun, the call, the flag, the 3rd and 8 hold that really wasn't a hold? We'll get to your calls in a moment. I liken it like this. Have you ever been nailed for speeding, but you go, I really wasn't speeding? Have you ever been popped for going 5 over? Speeding. No, is my answer. I got popped on the way back from Colorado for speeding, going 10 over. I was the pace car for the rest of the baseball caravan. I've been given warnings for 7 over, 8. 7, 8 over, you're playing with a little fire to get stopped. 5 over, never, ever. That's what James Bradbury's flag was last night. Getting a speeding ticket going 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. Time and place, right? Give me consistency. The Eagles fans, football fans, folks that are screaming still about it on Twitter, I hear you. You've been a fan of a team, and your team's been robbed before because of a bad call. It's not the reason, but it didn't help. I'll say this: 4 possessions, 4 scores, incredibly lopsided, almost a tribute to Nebraska football. Time of possession shift one way to Philly, and it was all about Patrick Mahomes' leadership, Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, and what they did. They more plays, special teams, the scoop and score. That's your turning point, and you know it, and I know it. They don't scoop that football up and score to tie it at 14. Philly's marching to go up 10 or 14, and then it's different. I'm going to say this too. They play on any other turf, maybe it's a different ball game. And hear me out on this because of just what type of ice rink that was. Both teams had to play on it. Both the big uglies, offensive line and defensive line, had to deal with it. But Kansas City's offensive line was incredible. They were incredible. Just 5 hurries with a depleted quarterback back there that's still better at 70% than anyone else at 100%, most people anyway. And they allowed 0 sacks. Kansas City got a little bit more pressure, but Hurts was awesome. Hurts was awesome except for the fumble. 300 yards passing, 70 yards rushing, was a warrior, was under duress more than Mahomes and found some major completions. Last night was about quarterback development. 2 quarterbacks that really have worked hard on their game. Hurts is a thrower, clearly, if you think back to the national title game where he got pulled. And then Mahomes is a quiet guy that likes to go out and throw the football. Well, last night at halftime, great story, Kansas City star Elijah, where he goes into a man, looks each teammate in the eye, and then gets his hype man, Kelsey, saying, why is there no energy? We're fine. It's only 10 points. We're the bleeping Chiefs. And he fired his guys up, and they came out and executed. Andy Reid quietly going to his big guys on the offensive line, saying, look, you guys are going to have to play great football for me this second half if we want to win. That was his message. But it was leadership last night. Not that Hurts didn't have it, but Kansas City had been here, done that. We talk about experience, being at the rodeo before. Great ball game. I'm not going to remember last night as the penalty flag that was. I'm going to remember it as Kansas City finding a way, and I'm going to remember Jalen Hurts on that stage delivering, absolutely delivering. But the fumble was the moment in time that flipped everything.
Yeah, and I'll get to the penalty here in just a second because I do feel like we need to spend a little bit of time on that. But Russ Hochstein, whenever we had him on last week and we heard this interview on Saturday, it was also a podcast exclusive. How prophetic does he sound saying, man, I think the Chiefs might have the advantage because Andy Reid's been there. He's done that. And he knows that Super Bowls are 2 completely different games separated by halftime.
Yes.
And that's what last night looked like. The Chiefs,
like Russ had been in that world before.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He said, I think the Chiefs might have the advantage because they know that. They know it's going to be a completely different game among 2 halves. And it looked like a completely different game in the second half. For that Chiefs offense, I mean, every single drive that they had in the second half was a scoring drive. And I think that's one of the stats that I'm taking away is the third down efficiency for both of these teams. They're both decent. The Eagles were 11 for 18.
Which is nuts. I mean, to lose. Going 11 for 18, but scoring 35
but
points.
The stat of the game to me is that the Chiefs were only facing third down 8 times.
4 for 8.
4 for 8. But as an Eagles defense, you were only able to get them to third down 8 times. I mean, the Chiefs only had 4 drives in the second half.
No, and they didn't have the ball in the first half. It was like 22-7 time of possession.
53 plays for 340 yards for the Chiefs, 6.4 yards per play for the Chiefs. I mean, that Eagles defense was Swiss cheese, and then even when they did get the Chiefs to third down, the Chiefs still had a 50% conversion rate. That's good enough. So I don't think, back to the penalty, that the penalty swayed the result of this game. I do think
they probably hit a field goal.
I think it robbed the neutral fan, or don't know what that was. I think it robbed the neutral fan, and I guess you could argue the Eagles fan too, of what could have been one of the better endings in Super Bowl history. If you give Jalen Hurts the ball in 2
minutes to drive,
go down, hit a field goal, let's get some overtime. I think that's awesome. And to look at the penalties specifically, I don't agree with the call based on how the game was being called. Now,
why here? Why now? You haven't been doing a damn thing all game long.
I mean, I'm pretty sure 0 pass interferences called in that game, and I'm pretty sure there were 0 defensive holding calls as well until
Sue got his money's
play.
worth.
Until that play.
Hands to the face.
I guess the best way I see what that calls by the letter of the law, by what the rule book says, yes, it was holding.
Speeding at 5 miles over the speed limit.
To me, it's that pitcher that's been pitching a gym all game long because the umpire behind the plate's been giving him his spots. You know what? You want the corner? I'll give you the corner all game long until it's 3-2 in the bottom of the 8th inning, and now that call has magically gone away. Like now you're no longer getting that pitch.
And so
that's what it feels like to me. If the refs aren't going to call that in the secondary all game long, they were letting those receivers and those corners play all game long. You're going to call that one, which was ticky-tacky. And hey, not to mention, it was within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Should be noted. Holding still applies within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, but it's been an unspoken rule in the NFL. You get a lot more leeway within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. If that holding call occurs 20 yards downfield on a break on a route, I'd have less of a problem with it, but it's right next to the line of scrimmage. It was very minor. I don't think it affected the route of Juju all that much. And not to mention, Patrick Mahomes overthrew that ball anyway. He was not going to throw a pick in that situation. He was just putting it up there in a place where, you know what, if we get lucky, my receiver's the only that can get it, but if not, we'll take our 3 points. And they get bailed out by a holding call that, I don't know, it just hadn't been called all game long. And I think with the Eagles, with how the field conditions were, they were getting away with some of that, but the refs were letting them play until the most important moment of the game.
Nobody was even being breathed on, and guys couldn't get out of their break because the turf was so garbage.
And so I think that they were getting a little late, the secondary. You know what? If you grab a little piece of the receiver on the break so you don't slip and fall because this field sucks, we're going to give that to you. But you can't go back on that with 2 minutes left to play in the game, the most important play of the game.
Time, space, man. I agree with you on give me consistency. Don't make it about you. There's a minimal jersey tuck and there was a little hip placement. James Bradbury admitted to it. He's like, look, I was holding. I was hoping they'd let it slide. So, yeah, I mean, if you do within 5 yards of what normally goes on off the ball, you're going to jail. Because it's super violent, it's super physical. And for what went down, it was a shame. I still think, I know Butker missed earlier. I don't think he misses that. We won't know. We don't know, but it's still tied. And it would have been cool to see Philly get a chip. But in Kansas City's defense, they made the special teams play. They responded after the response score. I mean, they'd come all the way back from down 10 to go up by 8. And then Philly marches down 70-plus yard drive. Great plays by Hurts. Mahomes was a warrior. I mean, and I just appreciate it. Appreciate both quarterbacks and what you see moving forward. I mean, we love football. It's such a great game. Sad that it's over. Spring ball's around the corner. We'll get to some thoughts on Nebraska football and what needs to be the reality with the walk-on program. I like Kansas City going at it with some run game like they did in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. They needed to give their defense a little bit of a breather.
They outrushed the Eagles. And a big help in that was that Patrick Mahomes scramble in the final drive. That was a
you
big
see him
key
just
there.
Hopping along.
But who would have predicted that going into this game? I mean, the X's and O's, the scouting report told us that the Eagles were the better rushing team, and the Chiefs go out there and out-rush them in the Super Bowl. And that's kind of my point when I get back when I get back to the penalties. Yes, it robbed us of what could have been a great finish, but at the same time, the better team ended up on top last night. And that pains me to say. This is my special place in hell. The Chiefs winning 2 Super Bowls in 4 years and turning into a bit of a dynasty. It pains me to say the better team won that game last night, and they proved it in the second half. They were the better second half team. They came back. They deserved to win the football game. But, man, I wish we could have seen what could have been if the Eagles would have gotten the ball back with 2 minutes.
Overtime would have been awesome. A little bit more of an exclamation point. It was big with waiting for kickoff. Finally, I'm not the biggest Rihanna fan, so halftime was for me.
I actually agree.
I mean, good for her being pregnant and being stories above the stadium while fireworks are going off. I'm not a heights guy, so have at it. But no, and then I thought the commercials, for the most part, pretty much sucked as well. Food was good. I ended up meeting Dolman. We had wings. I didn't make them. You kind of chickened out there, no pun intended. Did you go full bore with your your meat sweats attempt?
Yes. Mini ribs are made more than I could handle. I have given some away to my dad. I think we'll be giving some of the leftovers away to my brother. That's how many ribs we had. We had Phillies.
So you do 3 racks?
Yes.
Okay.
We had 3 racks. And then we had Phillies. We had buffalo chicken dip. We had chips and guac. We had cookies. I mean, we had everything you could have wanted. It was awesome.
Well,
so I was a winner with the food situation last night. If there's any positive takeaway for me, the Broncos fan from last night, but it was a little depressing post game to be like, man, the Chiefs really have overtaken the Broncos really bad, huh?
Well, hey, you've got a new sheriff in Donkey Land with Sean Payton. You've still got Russell Wilson. You've got a good defense. You've got a great, fun division.
But today's not about the Broncos.
It is not. It is what Denver's chasing. So take your emails, chris@varsity.com at 466-3776. Did the flag, did the penalty, is that going to overshadow last night? Or does the quarterback play, is that what's sticking out to you? Even if you hate the Chiefs, you kind of got to bend the knee, so to speak, to what they've done and how they've done it. Andy Reid, and it had to be sweet for him. Had to be sweet for him as much as he put into Philly, getting him to NFC championships, getting him to a Super Bowl, and it was just time to go a different direction. And Philly stabilized finally after their own Super Bowl win. They got over the hump, and Reid is as good as it gets. Good for Andy Reid. We'll talk Huskers and walk-on program next.
Here at the For the People Institute of Infectious Auto Upgrades, we haven't found the cure for the common cold, but I found the cure for the common clunker. Hey, Dr. Joe here from Capital City Automax. I'm not a real doctor, but I play one on the radio. And this time of year, there's all kinds of yucky crud going around. But you don't have to be driving it. If you're sick of your old car, then I have the prescription for your infliction. Take $2, put them down, and call me in the morning.
To tell me how much you love your nicer, newer car.
Because right now, you could drive home the car of your dreams for as low as $2 down. Did you test positive for bad credit? My one and only For the People credit approval process is like miracle medicine. It's extra potent even if you've been turned down before. I can't keep you from catching a cold, but I can cure the symptoms of your common clunker. Recover in a nicer, newer car today for as low as $2 down. But hurry, this prescription expires at the end of the month. I'm Joe Clemens, and I'm your dealer For the People. Come see us at Capital City Automax in Lincoln or online at approvedbyjoe.com, approvedbyjoe.com, www.approvedbyjoe.com.
All terms subject to approval, some minimum requirements.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
Mark Starr didn't play much his senior season at Alabama after a coaching change left most seniors on the bench. That didn't stop the Green Bay Packers from taking a chance on Starr, drafting him in the 17th round of the 1956 NFL Draft. The gamble paid off. Starr went on to a Hall of Fame career with 5 NFL championships, as well as winning the first 2 Super Bowls in NFL history, winning the MVP of both.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
When there's a chance for a championship trophy, you need to have the right people in the right positions. That's why when you post a job for free, LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 875 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down to only the most qualified candidates, which means you can start hiring the right people faster. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Chime in 402-466-ESPN or email the show, Chris at HailVarsity.com.
Just try me. Try me.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Hope you're well on a Monday. It's Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency. And the walk-on program is near and dear to Nebraska football fans. It's near and dear to many families because they've had a loved one probably or know somebody from the town that they grew up in that, man, you were good enough to walk on at Nebraska. That's still vital. And from a wins and losses standpoint, you think of Ian Hip, Jared Tomich, Janovich, Fultz, Riley. I mean, there's some dudes that were beyond incredible locker room and then on field guys. So it has paid dividends, and it's been the eraser for programs like Nebraska. It's been the eraser for programs like Wisconsin who've emphasized it. J.J. Watt, a walk-on. And they are Reimer, all right, recently. Those are all dudes that came in and were good enough to start and had a monster impact and be really, really good football players. You're going to have strength in numbers with a large walk-on roster. It's not only going to, historically speaking, allow you to practice at a highly physical level, but it's a buy-in, it's a camaraderie. It's also a way to push the high-profile guys that come into the football program. You either hit a certain standard or get embarrassed by a walk-on. There's nothing wrong with that. But, okay, this kid's paying his own way, and he's kicking my ass during practice. I better step my game up or go do something else. You can't lose that part of it, but from a standpoint of Title IX compliance and from an athletic department edict, Nebraska is going to have to shave the roster. The 150-man roster was great. The reason it was so large, T.O. had a 4-station practice going, and guys were being coached up. They were getting reps in, and when it was their time, Matt Turman, to come in and run the offense, you did it, and you won at a really incredible spot to go win a football game at during a national championship season down at Kansas State. So there has been reward in the football world for being prepared, staying after it, and wanting to be a guy that just contributes and helps be part of the football team. Now, under Coach Frost, and I like the fact that Frost was giving guys his opportunity, their opportunity to live out their dream and play ball and contribute. There's got to be a happy medium right now, and there's a new era of happy medium, Elijah, and that's what Coach Rule's going to have to deal with. And he gets it as well as anybody because he himself is a walk-on. He found a way on to Penn State and made a great coaching career out of it. Also, obviously, contributed to some really good Penn State football teams. So the days of the Big Red Army being 150, 160, 200 deep during the Devaney era are going to be no more. And you're going to have to target and be real good. And this staff loves to pride themselves on being able to evaluate. You're going to have to evaluate about 10 to 12 walk-ons that are going to be difference makers for you. And Nebraska's done that. They've evaluated in past years who can help this football team, and then what do I see on the field with development? What Jared Tomich leads the team in sacks in 1995. So it's folklore, and it's more than that. It's about it's a commitment, and it's a commitment from your own, and a lot of times kids from the state of Nebraska.
And I think one of the problems with the walk-on program, and I'm not sure I should call it a problem, it's just kind of the way college football has moved to challenge with the walk-on program, is the fact that there are fewer and fewer guys that slip through the cracks every single year. They do exist. You listed a couple of them off. Andy Janovich is the guy who slipped through the cracks. Luke Reimer's the guy that slipped through the cracks. And the reasons are there. I mean, Luke Reimer came from 8-man football up and then played at North Star and And even then, you're still playing in Nebraska. But it's kind of one of the things we've talked about over the past weeks and months on this show is that other schools are coming to Nebraska to recruit more than they ever have. There's more of a national eye on recruiting within the state of Nebraska. Even when you get out to west to Ainsworth, there's high-level recruits in Ainsworth that people are finding. There's
a tight end in Ainsworth the entire college football world wants, from South Bend to Georgia to Clemson.
And 20 years ago,
Nebraska knew about him.
Exactly.
Maybe if you had somebody humping it for Colorado or Wyoming, they knew about it. That's it.
But the national eye doesn't overlook places like Nebraska anymore. And you combine that with the fact all of these regional camps that get put on. Guys can go and drive to Chicago in a day and be on a camp and go from being a no-name guy to being a 3-star recruit in one day. And it's just the simple fact of the matter is there's so many eyes on recruiting nowadays that there's fewer guys that slip through the cracks that whenever you get them into a walk-on program, they're going to pop. It just doesn't happen as much. Now, there are still guys, as I listed before, but is it worth the opportunity cost to be bringing in 100, 120 walk-ons over the course of 3 to 4 years, and 1 or 2 of those guys pop and end up being contributors, and then 1 every 8 years ends up being a starter that goes and plays in the NFL, guys like Riley, guys like Andy Janovich? Is that worth the opportunity cost with the amount of time investment that you have to go put in for walk-ons? I think that's what the question becomes right now. Is we all know, yes, guys still slip through the cracks in national recruiting sense, but it's becoming more and more uncommon for those guys to slip through the cracks. And combine it with the fact of
it's tougher to get them.
There's great programs around here. Northwest Missouri State. You go off to Kansas or Iowa and go JUCO. You go play for South Dakota State. You can play for South Dakota, North Dakota State. There's so many great football programs around, all the way from Division I down to Division III, that kids would rather play at and get some scholarship money rather than walking on at Nebraska. That there's just numerous complicating factors with the walk-on program that make bringing in 30, 35 walk-ons from preferred and just actual walk-ons every single year less and less feasible.
Well, and it's a different era. I mean, you're hoping to get to a bowl game. You haven't been for 6 years.
Would you rather spend that time trying to find that one
walk-on? Want to get to
a
Division II playoff, right? And listen, quality of football has never been higher across the state. So you're going to have to be on it to make sure, if you can't give the guy a scholarship, start winning on the field to make them want to be part of the program, their state program again, and contribute that way, knowing that, hey, it's not just being on the team or being a tackling dummy, getting my butt kicked against the black shirts of yesteryear. But, hey, these guys are going to coach me up, so I'm going to be a good football player, and I'll have a chance to not only contribute as a guy that maybe makes the 2 deep, or I get to run out on the field for a game day. They want more. And I think the kids want more with their investment. And there's also a certain number of the population that, I got my gear, I got my girlfriend, and I really haven't had to practice. This is kind of cool. And that it's been that way for a little bit because you've not had football's changed, not for better, not for worse, but change is change with what a practice looks like and is at Nebraska. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-station, a 3-station, a 4-station, what it's going to go to, but you got better with all those walk-ons that were working and getting better each day, because they were getting coached and developed and graded. They just were, and it happened. And it was a major, major, major advantage for Nebraska. You don't want that advantage to go away ever during the change that has occurred in college football with those programs you mentioned that are in Nebraska's orbit now and kids are going to. But you got to be really good about who you bring in. And you need to hit. Nebraska has hit on their recruits when it came to closing with this short turnaround. Nebraska needs to hit on making sure that if they get a walk-on kid, he's the next Reimer or Riley or Fultz.
Well, what the walk-on program really is a safety net. You know what?
You're a racer.
We missed on a kid in state Nebraska. We gave him a walk-on offer. We didn't think he was going to turn out to be what he is. And you know what? We got lucky. He was a walk-on. He developed into something, earned himself a scholarship, and now he's a great contributor to this football team. I think what Matt Rule and his staff are kind of saying right now is, hey, we don't need that big a safety net. We trust our own evaluators here. Either, in our opinion, you're good enough to play for Nebraska or you're not. And I'm not saying like the walk-on program's not going away altogether, but it's going to be shrunk down. And I think they're saying here, we can handle a smaller safety net with our in-state recruiting efforts. We trust our evaluation to the point that we know either you're good enough to play for Nebraska or you're not. There's going to be guys that really want to play for Nebraska, and we don't think so, but you're right on that line. We're going to give you the preferred walk-on opportunity. But they're saying we trust our evaluation enough that we don't need a huge safety net of 30 high school guys from inside the state of Nebraska to fill it up. And you know what? In case we screw up, we still have that guy in the back pocket. They're just saying, either you're going to be good enough to play for Nebraska and you're going to get a scholarship, or you can go elsewhere and we're not going to lose any sleep over it.
Well, the other part too, Nebraska is going to have communication. They'll hear from high school coaches in the state of Nebraska, can this kid play? And they'll be able to be in the schools, be in the opponent's schools, and get the info. And then they'll judge for themselves with their eyes and what they'll see and what will be a camp or a workout session, and they'll move forward. Who's with us?
Yeah, Pete on the line.
Pete, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
How you doing today?
Good, thanks.
I don't care if they reduce the walk-on program down in numbers some, but I think a lot of the walk-on program is for the late bloomers. It's for the guys that's going to take 2 to 3 years to grow into a body shape and change of position. It's for 8-man football for small high schools that's got real good athletes. I don't want that to go away.
Well, you're going to have to be able to hit it, project, and then presumably keep that kid from going somewhere else. But I don't disagree with you at all, because, I mean, a lot of your late bloomers, look at your senior film guys. I mean, that's what the Rule and his staff have talked about here a lot the last few weeks, that they love senior film. They're not going to ignore a guy that hasn't developed yet. Pete, thanks for the call. They're going to do their diligence on it. Red Wine 65 weighs in as well from the stream, says there used to be a JV team that developed them too. There was freshman ball, there was JV. Yeah, I mean, guys, it's not all one size fits all with when you're ready to go and you're ready to go take on Missouri or Oklahoma in the old Big 8. I mean, guys go with their own pace, but there needs to be a finish line in sight, and there needs to be a cap, so to speak.
And I'm sure there will be the occasional guy that goes off to South Dakota State moving forward, and Nebraska fans go, why didn't we have him? But I think it's a cost that Matt Rule and his staff are willing to take.
I don't think they're being flippant about it. I think they're going to do the research.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-511-3535. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-511-3535. 800-511-3535.
The mission of Paralyzed Veterans of America is clear: accessibility. Veterans who have served and sacrificed the best of themselves deserve access to the best our country has to offer. Access to meaningful employment. Access to the veterans' benefits they've earned. Accessible homes and vehicles. And access to every part of their communities. With PVA staff working inside VA hospitals, no other veterans organization has provided more real-time, ongoing support for paralyzed veterans and their families. PVA is proud to serve veterans across all branches, all generations, and all conflicts. Our nation's heroes fought for your independence. Join PVA in fighting for theirs at pva.org.
Husker fans, this is Matt Davison with the 1890 Initiative. You've probably heard about NIL, name, image, and likeness. And now you can have an immediate impact on the success of our programs. The 1890 Initiative is Nebraska's premier NIL company. And with your help, we can maximize our student athletes' opportunities with NIL and prepare them for life after college. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics. Let's do the same with NIL. To learn more, visit 1890nebraska.com, where 100% of your donation goes directly to Husker student athletes. That's 1890nebraska.com.
After I came home from Iraq, I could still hear the booms. Makes it hard to be a good mom.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
DAV helps veterans get the benefits they've earned.
Thanks to DAV, I was able to begin to heal.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you at Hail Varsity. We're presented by Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. As we're talking about the walk-on program and its size reducing. And also Super Bowl 57. How do you remember it? Great second half by the Chiefs. A crusty, disgusting flag on 3rd and 8. Or kind of somewhere in between. We'll get some thoughts from Fred Hoiberg, Magic at PDA on Saturday here in a little bit. The other thing, just to wrap up here on the walk-on program, we'll get Jay Moore's thoughts here in about 40 minutes or so. But there's still a romance when you talk to Nebraska fans about it, and you've sat next to probably a Memorial Stadium, somebody whose kid is on the team, or it's aunt and uncle that are in town from a small community in Nebraska. They're so proud. And that's part of this too. What's the motivation here? And the motivation's always kind of been the right reason for somebody to be selfless. That's what it embodied. Not only did it provide another body that had a chance to become talented and a good football player and contribute to the team, but it embodied that I'm here for Nebraska attitude. And I think kids aren't more selfish today. I just don't know that the love affair is as strong as it once was with Nebraska. We talk about lost generations where your flashbulb moments in sports. I mean, there's 8 to 12-year-olds that watched last night and are like, man, I love the Chiefs. Or, man, Hurts is great, right? I mean, they watched last night and they love football because of what they saw, and they're going to start following Kansas City or Philly if they don't follow Kansas City already because their neighbor's waving a flag. Nebraska football still has kids that grow up that have gone to the stadium for years. They just haven't seen what you grew up with, Elijah, even at a lesser level of 9-4, 10-4, getting to a conference title occasionally, versus what my brother and I got to grow up with in West Stadium before the West Stadium expansion and facelift and, 100 years ago. But yeah, you're going to go be part of a winning team. I helped contribute to that. And that's the look. It was a selfless act and attitude that made mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and the whole town proud. It still does, but you can go make mom and dad and grandpa proud winning another ring at North Dakota State or at South Dakota State.
Or, I mean, let's think about the fact that there's a lot of great football programs around Nebraska that are losing potential talent because of the walk-on program. I mean,
it's been that way forever.
But think about the fact of, okay, the Nebraska walk-on program for the past 4 years has probably been taking in 20 to 30 kids per class. Mm-hmm. There's 20 to 30 kids that can go help UNK, 20 to 30 kids that can go help Midland, Doane, Wesleyan. And I'm not saying all these guys are that level or the level of North Dakota State or South Dakota State, but the simple fact is there's a lot of great football programs in Nebraska that can still use that talent. Is it better to go play for 2 years at Nebraska and then say, you know what, I'm tired of getting beat up, I'm tired of being on a losing football team and all these hits I'm taking in practice.
I'm
for
tired
what purpose?
of showing up to practice and watching.
Watching. Yeah, I mean, there's been guys that I've heard during
guys,
scrimmages that, it's scrimmage rolls around. We go roll and we go sit in the Memorial Stadium seats and we watch the scrimmage today. We're not even suiting up. We're just watching because they don't have enough spots for us in this scrimmage for us to go out there and play. Our chance,
that's how big it had gotten.
Our chance to play is just the spring game, and it's just for one drive in the fourth quarter of the spring game. And we're getting our practice during fall camp, and then the season rolls around, and you know what? We're sitting on the sideline all fall, and then spring ball rolls around, and we get our position work for the day, and then we go sit on the sideline during the scrimmage. And your time to go play dirt with the team is that one possession you get during the spring game, and you go, what's the point whenever you're just taking away talent from some great football programs in this state? And I'm not saying that the walk-on program can't find great players. I'm not saying that it doesn't still have a place in Husker football moving forward, but you have to use it wisely. It's opportunity cost. Would you rather give that rep to a kid who is going to be, you know what, he's going to make his town very proud. He's going to make his family very proud. Are you going to give it to the guy that 2 or 3 years down the road can legitimately go be a starter and needs the rep?
Go in and go handle this offense on the road at K-State during a national title chase? I mean, so there's no right answer other than what's being mandated, where you got to shrink the roster. And I think that Nebraska is going to be okay because they'll talk to the high school coaches. They'll get the rundown, and then they'll see for their eyes and make the judgment there. You just don't want to lose. You don't want to lose the scholarship Flores's of the world, okay, on a bigger scale quarterback discussion, and you don't want to lose the next Spencer Long. Right now, Spencer was from Elkhorn, and they flipped him from defense to offense. And Spencer Long is an incredible offensive lineman in Nebraska, but that's my point. I don't think Nebraska's not going to be informed or do enough research to miss out. If they miss out, it'll be because a kid's good enough to go play at one of the surrounding schools like a South Dakota State or North Dakota State.
And by shrinking the walk-on program, naturally there will be some misses where there ends up being a great football player that goes off to South Dakota State and he's awesome there and he gets a 7th round draft pick and it's going to happen, but it comes down to this staff saying, we trust our evaluation that we're going to have a lot more hits with these guys that we end up offering scholarships to instead of walk-ons than the ones that we lose. That we're going to trust that our evaluation is good enough that we don't need the big safety net. And yeah, there's going to be a couple that slip through the cracks, but that's an opportunity cost that you're willing to live with. That's what it comes down to with what the staff wants moving forward.
Fred Hoiberg, Nebraska, able to pull a rabbit out of their hat. Wow. What a win and what a comeback down 17. I had one eye on it while I was getting ready for high school ball, but here's a little bit from Fred after the win against Wisconsin. And this was pretty funny about the game ball, how he was going to give it to Derek Walker.
Giving away game ball this year, but I gave it to Derek for sucking so bad in those first 2 possessions, and that got Blaze into the game. I'm just kidding. I gave it to Blaze. Blaze was I'm so proud of him. He's a guy that has gone through a lot this year with the injury. He got hurt in the Queens game with a high ankle sprain, and he's really struggled with that from a timing standpoint. We have been working on the big lineup for this exact situation when they had 2 good post players with Wall and with Crowell, and it allowed us to go one-on-one in the post. We slid Derek to the 4 and Blaze at the 5, and those guys held their ground. We found a way where we got out of rotation, which we obviously didn't do very well in that first half. But, for a kid like Blaze, who has not complained 1 second since he's been here, not 1 second has he ever come to my office and said, can I get more time? He just continues to work. Coach Ziegler's done a great job giving him individual workouts, him and Oleg. And, for it to pay off in a game like this where we got down 17, and, the biggest thing I'm proud of, we kind of got that identity back a little bit today with, I think they had 12 in the first media and then 17 the rest of the game. And Blaze was a huge part of that.
Big time minutes for Blaze, and Nebraska is able to go with a bigger lineup. A week ago, I said it's surprising when this team wins. They're a team now that just will continue to find a way. I'm really interested to see how tomorrow night goes. And as bad as the score looked against Michigan, they fought hard. Do they get drilled or do they keep on shocking tomorrow?
Whoa, is that an Apple HomePod Mini? The sound quality is amazing.
Heck yeah, bestie. I got it from Members Owned Credit Union when I consolidated my debt.
Wait, so you're saying when I move a credit card or loan balance over, I could drop debt faster with great interest rates and get a free HomePod Mini?
Mm-hmm. You get all that and free financial advice too.
Now that sounds like music to my ears.
Boost your financial power at Members Own. Move a pre-existing loan or credit card balance and get a free Apple HomePod Mini speaker. Restrictions apply. Go to membersowncu.org/boost for details.
Dell Technologies President's Day event is here with deals to power all your passions. The savings start now on select sleek XPS laptops and more, powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget, special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Just call 877-ASK-DELL for these limited time President's Day deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Do you have taxiety? That heavy feeling of doubt knowing taxes are due, yet you're miles away from being ready. Let Liberty Tax show you that a solution is closer than you think. With our remote file option, you start your taxes online, then have them completed by one of our experts remotely. Visit libertytax.com or download the Liberty Tax mobile app to file your taxes remotely. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm weatherology meteorologist Mandy Faluber with your Capital City forecast. We have rain showers developing late in the overnight, cloud cover low 40s and south winds gusting up to 30. Breezy winds continue Tuesday, rain showers and highs in the low 50s. That's the forecast on Lincoln's ESPN. Right now, 60.
Call John Henry's today for a $99 heating system service to make sure your home can handle any weather Mother Nature has to throw at us.
45, 55, 55.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time this hour, Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency. For all your equipment financing needs, go Currency. You can watch the show live, Hail Varsity YouTube, also the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter handle. And all that'll get posted here. The podcast, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, our different segments, or just the full show. If you want to take that along, Mr. Blackshirt Charlie McBride in about 10 minutes, and then kind of the Blackshirt Hour of Power Part 2, Jay Moore with us, co-host, Big Red Wrap-Up. Jay's take on the Super Bowl, the walk-on program, and how far he is going to smoke a golf ball in a little bit. With it being in the low 60s today. Email the show, chris@hailvarsity.com. Can dial us up at 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Those are the numbers to get in. Want to remind you, of course, about getting buckled up. Always wise to hear that click happen. One of every 3 fatal crashes in Nebraska involves an alcohol-impaired driver. Why take chances? If you drink, don't drive. A message from the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office. Good week of ball. Wrapped the Super Bowl up yesterday. Husker basketball at Rutgers tomorrow night. And then Husker baseball gets rolling on Friday as they are down south. For that, though, they could play today at Haymarket, and there'll be some folks tailgating and grilling. Did you have a little sympathy at all for Eagle fan last night? I mean, as they were viral and full of vitriol?
Yes and no.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, I can't. There's some fan bases that just turn you off and make you run. And I honestly believe that if I were to show up at Lincoln Financial Field wearing a Giants jersey or whoever they're playing,
you wouldn't leave alive.
No, I mean, I would have each eye socket caved in. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their MO.
I'd have more
Chiefs fans will razz you, and they may throw some empty bottles at you. But if we're doing the hierarchy of danger for road venues, Philly's right up there.
Oh, Kansas City fans aren't that dangerous. They're just annoying.
Okay, fair.
Big difference.
And same with Denver. You go to Denver, and it's not a walk in the park to show up in someone else's jersey. I've never been that guy. I always just kind of show up and go, and I'm not rocking a jersey. And, Oakland always took the cake, and we'll see if it's changed to the black hole in Vegas or if that new stadium's taken a little bit of the danger away. I mean, somebody did time. There's teardrops, right? Of people sitting in the black hole, the guy dressed as Darth Vader, and everyone's packing a shiv, right? If you're that's part of the induction. I mean, it's worse to get into the black hole than be a member of the Hells Angels back in the day. Kidding, joking. But Philly's up there. And for them to have their heart broken, not super sad.
I'd have more sympathy for them if they hadn't just won a Super Bowl 5 years ago.
Well, and that's not all Eagles fans. There's a few Eagles fans around here in Nebraska that like the team, but they aren't going to pour a beer on you and punch your family member in the head. I don't know. Part of their charm, I guess. I need to broaden my horizon.
Charm's one way to call it, yeah.
Coach McBride's on the way. Hour 2 with Hail Varsity continues.
Have you ever noticed that when the afternoon light hits your floors, you can see everything, including dust?
So much dust.
And that floor dust gets kicked up into the air, compromising the quality of air you and your family breathe.
Eesh.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper is the fast and easy way to clean your floors with ultra-thick pads that trap and lock dust before it gets in the air. Just a couple minutes a day.
And dust is gone.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper. Proud partner of the American Lung Association.
I thought learning a language would be too much work, but Babbel makes learning fun. J'aime Babel.
Babbel's lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes, and soon you turn and realize, hey, I'm starting to speak another language. How'd that happen?
Babbel isn't robots talking. You learn words and phrases from real native speakers. I was ready for real-life conversations in just a few weeks. So easy.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Trust is a foundation of any strong relationship, and it's earned every day.
At 1011, it's in the way we cover the community we call home.
Working hard to fact check, verify, and get the story right.
It means alerting you first to severe weather and preparing for what's ahead.
It's telling the stories that bring us together and make us proud to be Nebraska.
Trust Cole Miller, Kelsey Passel, Chief Meteorologist Ken Shemick, and Sports Director Kevin Suits. The most watched, most trusted. That's 1011.
Hi, I'm your host, Smokey Colbert, filling in for Smokey because after 75 years of...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Turns out there's much more to say. Nearly 90% of wildfires are caused by us humans being careless, dumping our used barbecue coals willy-nilly. Guess the song was wrong. We did start the fire. That's why I respect Mother Nature and her trees, whether coniferous or new car scented. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
From the John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Studios, this is KLMS Lincoln, the capital city's Husker Authority.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm
Christine Lisi. No plans to ride off into the sunset just yet for Chiefs coach Andy Reid after a second Super Bowl championship in 4 years. Considering what the future looks like for Kansas City, Reid more than happy to return in 2023.
The organization that Clark Hunt's put together has been tremendous. The coaching staff, the players, it's a good, solid organization. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I've got this guy over here that is a pretty good player. So, I mean, we're doing okay.
Andy Reid, this guy, of course, would be quarterback Patrick Mahomes. The Super Bowl 57 MVP will join Canty and Carlin in 20 minutes. NBA Lakers LeBron James, with that sore left ankle, will be out a third straight game tonight against the Trailblazers. Major League Baseball unanimously voted to make the extra inning automatic runner on second base rule permanent in all regular season games going forward. Alabama is number one in the Associated Press Top 25 men's college basketball poll for the first time in 20 years. Houston is at number 2 with Purdue at number 3.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Hey, it's Rob Kelly, the suit from ESPN Lincoln, and I'd like to alleviate your fears. Let's just say you're trapped in a broken elevator full of deadly snakes, or a cargo plane blows an engine and crashes right into your home. Or you're taken hostage by a rogue band of jungle rebels and locked in a bamboo cage. Don't worry, you can always listen to our shows that you missed. Just listen to our podcasts. They're on demand right now at espnlincoln.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts provides more than just the right parts for your repair. Our professional parts people can also offer free check engine light diagnosis. We can scan your vehicle and provide a list of possible fixes. Find the right parts for you or recommend a great local repair shop. Don't ignore your check engine light. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
2 seconds left on the clock, third field goal range, and it looks like he's going to go with a 5-iron. No, wait. The quarterback is skating back on the ice. He's talking with his caddy. They're pulling the goalie. He skates off the fairway as the kicker lines off his putt. It's a breakaway. They bundled their home and auto insurance with Progressive. Touchdown savings, birdie goal.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
It's time to think about your tax refund. And Jackson Hewitt wants you to think biggest. As in, we guarantee you'll get your biggest refund or your money back plus $100. Who offers that? Come to think of it, nobody. It's one of the biggest guarantees out there and why you can't just file with anybody. For your guaranteed biggest refund, go to Jackson Hewitt today. Your wallet will thank you. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. AutoTrader.
Is this how you feel day after day? Like you've been hit by a truck? Limitless can fix that. Don't spend another day feeling like shit. Limitless Mail has solutions to eliminate sleepless nights, belly fat, lack of energy, muscle loss, lack of focus. Limitless Mail providers are experts in hormone replacement, peptide therapy, and ED. Get ready to feel great again. Schedule a free consult at limitlessmail.com. Insurance accepted.
Did you know that Masterforce has thousands of tools at Menards? Any tool you want, we have. There are hammers, drills, pliers, levels, wrenches, grinders, sanders, air compressors, nailers, workbenches, mowers, blowers, chainsaws, floor jacks, knee pads, work lights, fans. Whew. And that's just a taste. Want power, performance, durability? Come check out the wide range of products from Masterforce, exclusively at Menards.
I know a lot of you really want the State Farm personal price plan, but what's with the oversharing?
Like this message Brian left me.
Hey, Jake from State Farm. I love the smell of my cat's breath. Yeah.
You don't need to get that personal. The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Wendy's 2 for $6 lets you mix and match some of our best items, like Dave Single with the 10-piece crispy nugs, medium strawberry lemonade with a spicy chicken sandwich, spicy chicken with a Dave Single with a strawberry lemonade, strawberry lemonade, if you're into that. Chicken Sam, crispy nugs, strawberry lemonade, Dave's, nugs, Sam. Whew. Pick what you want at a price you want. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's 2 for $6.
For a limited time, price and participation may vary. In U.S. Wendy's on the card only, single item at regular price.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmitz_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmitz.
Back with you, it's Hour 2 at Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency for all your equipment financing needs. Go Currency, Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. And be sure to stream the show. You can do so the Hail Varsity YouTube channel, Hail Varsity Twitter at HVarsity Radio. Let us bring in Mr. Blackshirt himself, another Monday with Charlie. And we say hi to Coach Charlie McBride. Coach, how was the Super Bowl vittles last night? How we doing?
Well, I was just sitting here counting my money.
So you put a wager?
You bet the doink, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I got out of that habit a long time ago.
Good work.
And that can get you in bad trouble. That stuff.
I was talking to a buddy last night. We were out having some wings, and his kid has signed in under his name with this app.
Oh.
But Dad knows about it. But he's like, "Yeah, Dad, I made $50 off betting some NBA." And we're like, "Hold your horses there, here, Jimmy the Greek. You're just putting money down at night, huh? You can get buried doing that." So there was a friendly conversation about that. I'm like, yeah, my kids, I don't think he's gambling yet. That tells you how good a parent I am. So I don't know, but I haven't had the just don't bet, son, or do it responsibly. But yeah, the whole world's betting football. So
I got in trouble when I was at Arizona State. Didn't know what I was doing.
Really?
I never bet at all. But I used to go in this place after practice on Thursday, and these old guys out there, they're just sitting there looking at sheets all the time. So one time they came up to me and said, "Can you help us out?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" They said, "Well, can you we picked 3 teams." Well, 2 of them we played.
Oh no!
So I knew they stuck. I knew they weren't any good. So I did it, and I did it for, I think it was 6 weeks.
Oh no!
And sure. And then I got a knock on my door, and it was from, thank God, my brother. He was the head of white collar crime. My brother-in-law was the head of white collar crimes for Reagan, and I think it was, I don't know, but he was in Iowa somewhere. But anyway, they just told me to stop doing it. I mean, they knew I wasn't gambling, but they heard my name go over the border into New Mexico.
So the 3 guys.
Somebody said, "Where are you getting all these?" Because I was 18-0.
Oh my God, man!
Charlie was the ultimate betting just expert.
Yeah, well, that didn't. That they said, "You better, you're going to lose your job. You better stop that." So I didn't realize I wasn't gambling. I was just giving information.
Man,
I guess that's not good either.
So,
I guess because you have it's an insider. I'm an insider.
Man, 18-0 though. You got to be pretty proud of that. I mean, looking at the glass being half
Yeah,
full.
it wasn't. Yeah, and I didn't bet. If I had a bet, I probably had made a lot of money. I don't know what they bet, how much they bet. I don't think these guys bet that much.
So was this just your name came up, or was it a wiretap thing? Were these
Yep.
wise guys?
The place was tapped. The whole place had been, and they had been investigated. I found out years before, and then they dropped it and they started up again, I guess.
Man,
I didn't know it. I didn't even know there. Apparently, the guy that owned the place didn't know it either exactly. I think he did, but he didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if he wants his kneecaps, right?
Yeah.
This is Sammy the Bull. That's his table.
It wasn't a big ring or anything that I know of. These guys are old guys. I mean, they're
retired.
I don't know. They were all retired. Just drank beer, sit around and all day and talk.
We didn't know what they were retired from. That's pretty good. Charlie McBride's with us here.
What a story.
By the way, I went 18-0, and the Pac-12 was not great at the time, and here's why. And Insider Charlie, I love it. What'd you think of the game last night?
I liked it. I thought it was a good game. I had this feeling that they didn't start out playing like they could play or something. There was, it looked like the Chiefs kind of looked a little weak or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There was just something that made me feel like they're not playing like they can play.
Mm.
And I thought maybe, him being hurt or something like that, the quarterback being hurt before. So I thought maybe they were protecting him or doing something, but I guess it, pretty much at halftime, even after he got hurt, he's one of those kids that can play hurt. I mean, there's a lot of them that can't, and then he's one of them that can go over the top. A lot of, the guy that was really famous for that was Joe Montana.
Mm.
I mean, this guy's a basket case. They had to glue him together, but he played all the time. I'm surprised he's still walking around.
He's hitting Super Bowl row parties and advertising for Guinness. So Joe Cool is still doing all right. What'd you think?
That's right. He's like me. He had all his joints replaced. So he's doing good.
Bionic man. I love it. So did you have a problem with the penalty? Did that overshadow the game? The flag on 3rd and 8?
The hard thing about it is remember a couple of years ago when that guy really had a penalty. I mean, it was like, he blasted the guy and they didn't call it.
Yeah.
And now I think, even though when it was quite a while ago, they all say, well, the last couple of minutes, let them play. Well, that's not, I can't go for that trick, because if you're doing one thing during the game, you're doing another. Well, the thing that after the game today, when I watched it, I just happened to catch it, where the kid that did it said he did it. he said, I grabbed his shirt. He said it right on television, everything. I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But he, the thing that happened was it wasn't as flagrant as there's some stuff you see where they beat each other up on the way down the sideline, and they're, it's a joke, some of it. So the consistency has never been there. And nobody's ever sat down and said, we're going to follow the rule and this is the way it's going to be. And if you do it, and what degree you do it, too bad. Mm-hmm. And then he did it at he did a 2 out of a 10.
Yeah.
As far as I could see, but he did it. And so that's probably they were scared not to do it.
Well, yeah, Charlie, the thing is you're right. In terms of the penalty, it was a 2 out of 10 type infraction. My problem isn't that they called it. It's that they were letting the 4 out of 10 type infractions slide all game long.
Well, they're at a point now where somebody's got to stop it. This is going to help stop it. I mean, that's what I said. Call the thing the way the rule book says, and you'll stop it. I mean, guys will stop doing that stuff. I mean, how many times you seen a kid get on the sideline and the guy put his arm over his arm and take his hand?
Yeah.
And actually, putting his arm over and pushing it with his arm is one thing. But when a guy grabs your hand, your hand, when you can't get up with one hand, now guys are catching the ball. They don't care. They're catching with one hand, you know. But they're getting that outside hand and they're just pushing it down so the guy can only catch it with one hand. And they're not calling it.
It's another Monday.
And, you know, the other thing is a lot of guys, they got to have everybody involved in it that's down on that end of the field, because they all say, well, that's his call. I saw it, but that's his call. That's a bunch of garbage. You know, if you see it, you call it.
Sorry for cutting you off, Coach, there. It's another Monday with Coach Charlie McBride here on Hail Varsity Radio. And, Coach, the penalty was a big talking point today. I want to get your take on the other big talking point, the playing surface. A lot of players out there are slipping and sliding around on the field. And from a coaching point of view, does that change how you have to call a football game, knowing that your guys are out in the field slipping and sliding around?
We've had stuff like that. You change your shoes.
Yeah.
That's what you do. I mean, there's things like that. That should have been known. Yeah, I don't know if they could figure it out before the game, but I'm so tired of the National Football League. They came in one day when we were practicing and we paid for the field and we paid for all this stuff out in Phoenix. They were having a game out there and they had the field fixed. Apparently they said they fixed it for the NFL. Well, Tom basically told them, forget it. We're going out there anyway. I don't care what you say. We paid for this place. So they went out there. We went out and practiced on it. We didn't notice any difference in anything. But the next day they tore the whole field up. Tore the whole thing up and redid the whole field in a week. I mean, it was, you know, and these guys are, you know, they're crazy. And, you know, they got Mr. Guru they had his picture in the paper the other day, how many years he's been doing it. Well, I'll tell you one thing I found out through my grapevine, which is nothing, that guy isn't going to be around next year. See, they put that thing out on the outside, and then they coming in. It's like a big train coming in. It's on tracks, and it comes in and goes out, so they can use that place for, you know, car shows and boat shows and whatever they do. And but that whole thing about the grass is, you know, I remember playing at UCLA. We played before they had the soccer, big, you know, soccer deal, and they leveled the field off. They took the mound out of it, and I'll tell you what, you could not cut on it, and it would not come up.
Jeez.
And it was the best grass I ever saw. Boy, could you run on that stuff! I mean, it was in the Rose Bowl, so we were playing UCLA.
Coach, want to get your take on the walk-on program real quick. Got about 3 minutes here. And it sounds like due to Title IX mandates, Nebraska doesn't have to reduce their roster size walk-on wise. And just give me a thought on what's the right number. Is there a right number for the walk-on program as far as walk-ons to take?
That really makes some of the girls mad. I mean, because that happened with us, and they cut their money out. Bob was giving them more money than Title IX would award them, you know, when it went through, and they actually lost money on it. But I think that what's going to happen is what we had a lot of walk-ons at one time, too many. And I think what you do a little bit to be honest with the players is probably to take all of the walk-on kids and test them and set a standard for your test. And if they didn't make that standard, you would help them get a job at another school, you know, maybe go on. And we had some guys do that, you know, that actually we helped them get on at Kearney, at then time UNO at one time, and Concordia, and some of the schools we helped them get straightened out there. And they were happy with that. But some want to go to school at Nebraska and when you really find out about it, they kind of like football and they like to go out, and and nobody ever cuts them, so they kind of stay, with it. And it didn't, and so we found out a lot of stuff about the program, that there are some kids like that are coming on, but it seems like we got down to a point where we were asking for film and coaches' recommendations and everything. So I think you got to just go, if you're going to do it right, you test them, tell them, look at, if you don't make the grades on the testing scores, we'll help you get a job somewhere else.
Charlie McBride with us. That makes a ton of sense. And you got about 10 to 12 guys you can target. You have good communication with the high school coaches in the region and in the towns, and get their feedback, and then see them at camp. And then, your take on, here's the test, here's the bar, here's what you got to pass to be a walk-on makes a lot of sense. Coach,
the high school coaches will understand what's going on. I mean, that'll help a little bit too, as long as they understand it.
No, absolutely. All about communication. Coach, we'll run you down next Monday, and this went too fast, but it was a lot of fun to chat with you. Real quick, how many wings did you eat last night?
I only ate a dozen.
Okay, that's all I had too.
There's still a whole bunch in the kitchen that I'm looking at right now.
I love it. That's pretty good.
That's the best part of the week after the Super Bowl. It's the leftovers.
Just crush some more wings.
They're better when they're aged.
No, that works well.
Well, it's you're sad about football ending, but you're happy about the food that you have left over. That's kind of the give and the take of this week.
That is pretty good. Coach, thanks so much for the time today. It was fun to talk with you.
Have fun.
Will
do. Okay. Bye now.
There he is, Coach McBride. Who'd have known? 18-0. Man.
Ultimate betting insider, Charlie McBride.
Allegedly. Man, look, listen to him. Like, I got in trouble. Like, what? Check that segment out. Coach McBride, if you just caught part of the interview, talked about his time at Arizona State, and three guys were asking his insight. Jay Moore's on the way. It's Hail Varsity.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Equal opportunity, especially in the workforce, is the cornerstone of the American dream. Being employed gives us the confidence to be financially independent. There's real meaning in supporting ourselves and those we care about. We feel respected, useful, even empowered to become leaders. But what if you were one of the 6.5 million people in the U.S. with an intellectual or developmental difference, such as autism? 81% of adults with developmental differences don't even have a paid job, and only about a third of the public believes they're capable of having leadership roles. Now is the time to change that. Join the SunTrust Foundation in supporting Autism Speaks, Best Buddies, and Special Olympics in creating pathways to 1 million employment and leadership opportunities for this talented community by 2025. Together, we can build a broader workforce for the future. Visit deliveringjobs.org to learn more.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
Bart Starr didn't play much his senior season at Alabama after a coaching change left most seniors on the bench. That didn't stop the Green Bay Packers from taking a chance on Starr, drafting him in the 17th round of the 1956 NFL Draft. The gamble paid off. Starr went on to a Hall of Fame career with 5 NFL championships, as well as winning the first 2 Super Bowls in NFL history, winning the MVP of both.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
When there's a chance for a championship trophy, you need to have the right people in the right positions. That's why when you post a job for free, LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 875 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down to only the most qualified candidates, which means you can start hiring the right people faster. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
All-State, 2-year starter, and rush in for the Big Red and NFL vet.
Is Dudeness or Duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
It's Blackshirt Jay Moore with Hail Varsity Radio.
Back into it at Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency. Blackshirt Husker NFLer Jay Moore, co-host Big Red Wrap-Up. Find him on Twitter at JMoore44. Well, Bird, the NFL season is done. A pretty intense Super Bowl with Kansas City claiming a second crown, 38-35. Your takeaway, what's your memory of the game? What's it going to be remembered for you?
Yeah, I remember this one as obviously a really good game, kind of what we all wanted. I know when we chatted last week, I was rooting for the Eagles just because of what happened to Cincinnati down in Kansas City. But I wanted Philly to win. But it was a well fought game, and I know it comes down to that Bradbury holding call. And that's kind of the focal point, just as kind of the calls in the end of the AFC Championship game were as well. And I see that situation from both sides. I understand that it could have not been called. I've seen way worse holding calls, obviously, and I know defensive linemen get held every play. I know if you had Searles on here, he'd tell me I'm full of crap and tell me that that offensive linemen don't hold every play, but he's full of crap too. They do, and don't let him tell you any differently. But it's tough. I don't think when these close games and these tough games come down, if there's a call made, of course it's going to affect how the outcome of the game is. And of course people are going to overreact and say, how can you do that? How can you make that call at this time of the game? I look at it as really two plays that are kind of what made that ball game. It was a Hurts fumble and return for a touchdown, and it was a punt return by the Chiefs. Similar situation what the Chiefs did in the AFC Championship game against the Bengals. Got a good return. And obviously the roughing out a late hit penalty on Mahomes, got them in field range. Very similar kind of how this game proceeded to end in Arizona last night. So good game. I still think, Philly had this thing in control. They really did. That Hurts fumble and them getting 7 points off of that changed the perplexity of this ball game. And then Kansas City's second half adjustments, the Philly just could not hang with them offensively. Philly just wanted to kind of hang there in man coverage, all game, and rightfully so. That's what they kind of played a lot during the year, is because their defense has been remarkable. They had 70 sacks during the year. That's incredible. They didn't get any against Mahomes, and I know the field conditions weren't the best, and I know the guys were sliding all over the place, and that might have something to do with it. But Kansas City made adjustments and made plays at the right times to win this football game, and you got to tip your hat to them, and I'll give them all the credit in the world. This is wild that this is Mahomes' third Super Bowl and he has 2 wins and 2 MVPs and off to a hell of a start. We'll see how Andy Reid kind of swims off, sells off into his end of his career coaching wise. But it was a good game. That's what you want. I know that end of the call, the holding is going to get focused on the most, but Chiefs made more plays, man. That's just how it comes down to. They made more plays when it mattered.
Jay Moore is with us, Hail Varsity Radio reaction to Super Bowl 57, and you nailed it with the special teams and the scoop and score. I mean, those were momentum shifters. Kansas City's offensive line, just flat out fantastic. No sacks, only 5 hurries, and Kansas City also able to get their run game going. Without going too deep into the weeds, to your eyes, what were the adjustments that Kansas City made? I mean, I know they brought motion, but they had 2 walk-in touchdowns on 3rd down.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I mean, you saw anytime they did it. That's what you see against defenses that run a lot of man coverage motions. Because when you send a guy in motion, you can tell what kind of coverage you're in. You know, if you send a guy in motion and no one moves, you know they're going to be in zone coverage. But then you send a guy in motion and a DB or a linebacker or a safety is going to, a quarterback's going to run with them. Okay, no, you got some sort of a man-to-man situation. But they did a really good job was they made it quick motion to really made it seem like they were going to go all the way across the formation to the other side of the field. But then at the snap of the ball, boom, they would plant and go the opposite direction. In that secondary, the guy in the secondary for the Philadelphia Eagles was like, he was sure as hell that he was going all the way across the formation to the other side of the field to catch some sort of ball. And it just little tweaks like that. You kind of saw it with and Kelsey's routes. They ran a lot of times they called whip routes or jerk routes. They did a really good job of just recognizing the coverages there and then running the routes. And you saw a lot of misdirection and just the way they did the ring around the rosy formation again. So like we saw against the Raiders, I think in the last game of the season. So they gave them everything, and you had to, because Philly is such a good defense. You had to throw the whole kitchen sink at them. And Philly just wasn't able to respond, and not getting enough pressure on Mahomes, getting into sacks. I know he was hurt a handful of times, but his ability to still escape out of the pocket with that bum ankle. And I know he had that 20-some yard run there late in the game that really set up the winning field goal. So Kansas City just did a really good job of recognizing what coverage they're in and exploiting them, and then. Philly just was not able to adjust and adapt and make the plays that they needed to.
Yeah, Jay, but I think this Super Bowl will always be overshadowed by the fact that Philly didn't get an offensive possession. It's kind of like that AFC divisional between the Bills and the Chiefs where Josh Allen didn't get that possession in overtime. You think, yeah, the Chiefs won this game fair and square, which that's what I think of last night, but you always think, what if the other offense would have gotten a chance? And I want to talk about that penalty call briefly. We hit it on it a little bit at the beginning of the interview, but I can see it 2 ways. One, by the letter of the law, it is in fact a penalty. That I can't disagree with. But what I can disagree with is the fact that they hadn't been calling that kind of stuff all game long. With no pass interference is called, no defensive holdings called all game long. And then you call it in the biggest moment. It happened within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, which a lot of times refs will give some guys some more leeway. And then also, it looked to be an overthrown football to me from Patrick Mahomes. And
catchability.
And that doesn't matter with holding. But whenever you combine all those factors together, it just seems like a brutal call and something that seemed pretty ticky-tacky. And Jay, I want to get your take. Is that how you see it as well? That, letter of the law, yes, it's a penalty, but whenever you combine all those factors, it just feels like you should keep the flag in your pocket.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see the flag kept in the pocket. There wasn't enough. He did not. If he didn't put one hand on him, I don't think he's able to catch that football still. Yes, it was overthrown a little bit, but he did not redirect him or cause enough struggle to coming out of his break that to me was enough to throw the flag. And I totally agree. The situation, you got to kind of let the guys play a little more, and unless it's just completely, egregious and blatant, it's one of those where you would like to just, swallow your whistle and keep that flag in your pocket. And I know it's hard, and as a fan sitting there and watching the game, these guys, there's the referees calling the Super Bowl. They're the best graded ones all through 18 weeks in the NFL. They earn this right. So they know what they're doing. But again, I agree, Elijah. I would have loved to see them swallow the whistle and put the flag in the pocket. I just didn't see enough. I'm on board with that. And it is what it is. It just feels, Kansas City just got, listen, they played really, really good, but they also got the benefit of a couple calls to go their way in some games in the playoffs this year. But that's just how it goes. You're going to have instances like that, and I'm not trying to knock them at all, but that's part of the game. They got the right calls at the right time, and they're to capitalize. They still had to go out there and make a field goal, and they still had to operate the end of the game situation. I think McKinnon could have scored there, but he took a knee. Very smart, very heady play out of him. So, yep, I agree. I wish penalty wasn't called. I wish that Philly was able to go down there and get an opportunity to tie the game or win the game, and it just didn't happen. But you know what? You got to take care of the football on Philly's end, and you got to tackle a guy on a punt return and get him down, and you got to make plays when you need to. You can't let Mahomes with a bum ankle scramble for 25 yards on you. So that's a little, that's just a kind of playing devil's advocate there with some other situations that happened in that game where Philly could have done themselves a favor or two.
4 yards was the penalty yardage walked off from the 15 to the 11. You'd like to think Butker could hit from the 15, but I get it's absolutely demoralizing. It's a momentum and energy thing.
It's about the automatic first down. The fact that the teacher's going to run that clock down.
It's time. Yeah. It's absolute time. No, absolutely. You have more time on the clock for Hurts to go to work. Last son of the Super Bowl bird, but do you expect Philly to be back? Hurts' passing yards, his rushing numbers. I mean, we're talking damn near 400 yards total offense, 3 rushing touchdowns, had the 2-point conversion. And he throws such a good deep ball. He throws his guys open, and then you're able to get some of your dudes. I mean, the crossing route, my God, I have no idea, nor do I want to volunteer trying to check Devontae Smith on a crossing route because that was going early. But Philly seems like, all right, they'll learn and they'll be back.
Yeah, I would totally expect that. I think the NFC East is going to be a really tough division. You had 3 out of the 4 teams in the playoffs this year. As long as Hurts stays healthy, they're able to keep their core guys, together, and that's all. That's what it comes down to. Is just having your best players stay healthy and keeping your offensive line together, and making sure they stay healthy. And if they have no major injuries, they should win the East, no problem again next year, and be right in this situation. Again, Hurts is young, and then it'll be interesting to see. I know their offensive coordinator might be getting pulled here for the Colts job, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that could have some effect on it. But again, your core guys are there. The head coach kind of is the pseudo OC anyways, so I have no reason to believe that they can't make it back and be in the same situation, even with how good the NFC East, I think, will be here for the next couple of years.
Jay Moore with us here, Hail Varsity Radio. Black Shirt Husker NFLer Jay Moore. We'll catch up with Jay next segment to get his take on the walk-on situation for Nebraska and his thoughts as he'll have some perspective, specifically when Callahan kind of trimmed the walk-on roster. Jay Moore continues with Hail Varsity.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. Well, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or just go to eBay Motors and get it right the first time. When you see the green check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here at the For the People Institute of Infectious Auto Upgrades, we haven't found the cure for the common cold,
But I found the cure for the common clunker. Hey, Dr. Joe here from Capital City Automax. I'm not a real doctor, but I play one on the radio. And this time of year, there's all kinds of yucky crud going around. But you don't have to be driving it. If you're sick of your old car, then I have the prescription for your infliction. Take $2, put them down, and call me in the morning.
To tell me how much you love your nicer, newer car.
Because right now, you could drive home the car of your dreams for as low as $2 down. Did you test positive for bad credit? My one and only For the People credit approval process is like miracle medicine. It's extra potent even if you've been turned down before. I can't keep you from catching a cold, but I can cure the symptoms of your common clunker. Recover in a nicer, newer car today for as low as $2 down. But hurry, this prescription expires at the end of the month. I'm Joe Clemens, and I'm your dealer For the People. Come see us at Capital City Automax in Lincoln or online at approvedbyjoe.com, approvedbyjoe.com, www.approvedbyjoe.com.
All terms subject to approval, some minimum requirements.
When I grow up, I want to be a doctor because that's a really important job. I would hope kids get better and make everything super fun. I'd have a cool waiting room with games, toys, and a huge TV.
If your child is sick over and over again, it could be PI, a serious defect of the immune system. Early testing gives children a chance to dream.
And I'll give every kid a cherry lollipop because that's the best flavor.
Jeffrey Modell Foundation, helping children reach for their dreams. Visit info4pi.org.
A wise nation honors and learns from its past. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. February is Black History Month, a celebration of the contributions that African Americans have made to American history in their struggles for freedom and equality. Knowledge is our strongest tool against injustice. Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Jay Moore is with us. It's Hail Varsity Radio. Black Shirt Husker NFLer at Jay Moore 44 on Twitter. Co-host Big Red Wrap Up. Jay, I want to switch to Husker football. And you were a part of Nebraska, and you were part of a Nebraska in an era with Callahan where you had some really good walk-ons. You had guys that were big on special teams, guys that were big-time contributors on the field, first through fourth down. Your take right now, and good story by Sam McEwen, going to go there with the walk-on program and being Title IX compliant and just the reality of numbers and what the numbers will be moving forward aren't what they were 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's always an interesting conversation here in this state, not as a big of topic in other states and other Division I programs because we do have such a storied history with the walk-on program. And I see both sides. I think of all the good walk-ons that I played with, the Brandon Rigonis, the Andy Canavies, the Blake Peakeys, the Grant Mulkeys. He came as a walk-on. I know he didn't finish his career, but he was a big contributor at the wide receiver position. There's a handful of other guys that I played with that played special team with, or even became starters towards the end of their career on the offensive side or defensive side. I mean, Todd Peterson came to Nebraska as a walk-on. So I see, it's kind of like the sales technique. You need 100 prospects to get 10 sales. It's kind of the same way you'd think to get with the walk-on program. You probably need 100 walk-ons to get 10 good ones to come at it. So I understand that side of it, but I also understand the management side of it. I know when I got to Nebraska in 2002, I believe there were over 200 guys on the roster. And that is just something that is hard to manage. And I know Bill cut down on that heavily when he got there. And I know Bo kind of got back to getting some more guys, some more walk-ons, and recognizing that needs to be a vital part of the program. So I do understand both sides, but I think I can't disagree to what Matt's doing, and especially in a day and age where you're able to sign more than 25 guys, in a recruiting cycle on scholarship. So I do see the benefits of cutting some stuff down a little bit just from a sheer management thing. So you got a head coach who's trying to manage a roster of 150 plus players, deal with recruiting, deal with transfer portals, deal with NIL stuff, deal with all these other things that, hey, 20-some years ago, Tom Osborne didn't have to deal with this stuff. Frank Solich didn't have to deal with a lot of these things these head coaches have to deal with nowadays. So I get it. And I know his support staff, he's got one of the biggest support staffs in the country, as it should be. Nebraska needs to be on par with the Alabamas and the Clemsons and the Georgias and the support staff. I think there's 38 people now on the support staff. Awesome. Great. We have the budget to do it. Pay people to come here to help guys become the best they can be, players they can be, and coaches they can be. All for it. But there is just, if you want to build this thing the right way, there has to be some sort of control. And I just don't think, Matt Rule feel like he can have control of this program if he's dealing with 175 guys in the roster. I just don't think that's doable, and I can see that. And like I said, again, devil's advocate, I do know if you want to get some good walk-ons that come in, you're going to have to get a lot to make sure you get the ones that can contribute and play. But I see both sides and where everyone comes from. But I think I have to favor with having control and a good firm grasp on your program and having control of it.
Well, and the reality too is I don't know what Coach Rule is going to run, if he'll do a Solich, Frost, check that, Solich, Osborne, Saban 4-station practice, or if it's going to be 2 stations, right? I mean, That's just it, is if you're going to have all those guys, they all need to be getting the reps, or you'd want to get those reps on the field Monday through Thursday. So by year 3, you got a shot in hell of actually playing or contributing, or just being a scout team guy that helps the program. But, it's not been kind of throwback practice style and setup for a long time. I mean, and that's, you talk to some old coaches, former coaches, that's a big reason for the lack of development and depth.
Yeah, I see it. If even it was 3 stations, that's 11 guys each side of the ball. It's 22 players. That's 66 total guys for 3 stations. Now, if you want to do a 2 deep in that situation for everyone, that's 132 players.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than manageable. I don't. We're not trying to cut it down to a 90-man roster like you go into training camp with in an NFL. I think there's still going to be 135 to 150 guys. I don't know how many. To be honest, off the top of my head, I have no idea how many guys were on the roster that Scott Frost had.
It had been about 160.
Yeah. So I think just cutting it down a little bit, but you're still able. If you want to do a 3-station drill with a 2 deep, you're able to do that. And I know there's some special teams guys that play into that, but you're able to still achieve what you want to do with the numbers. But I also do think I was a part of, when I first got to Nebraska, I was a part of the station stuff. It was fine, but I developed just as fine after the fact, because, when Bill got there, that's when I kind of took my big steps, and we didn't have that. So I think it's easy to say everyone has to get a ton of reps. There is, but it also has to be a quality too.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a ton of reps, and you can have a GA kind of, looking at stuff and, not really paying attention to what's going on in a certain station. But you still have to get coached up the right way. And when you get into the film room after a practice, you don't have enough time to go over everyone's reps. You don't have time to go over in spring ball, you do. I will say that. In spring ball, you do. Once you get into the season, you don't have enough time to go through and grade everyone. So a guy could be out there, say, hey, I'm playing, I'm getting reps, but is it good reps? Is it quality reps? Am I actually getting better doing these reps? And you have to know that, because sometimes as a young player, you don't know. So I would like to see, obviously, guys get more reps, but I think you can do it in other ways potentially than having to say, okay, here's 4 groups. I think we've I'm more of a quality over quantity type of guy when I view it from that angle.
Well, Jay, I've heard stories of walk-ons that had to go sit in the stands of Memorial Stadium during scrimmages during the past couple of seasons because the roster was too big. They should have space for some of these guys to practice. And I think whenever you hear that, it makes you think, you know what, maybe this walk-on program should be cut down to size, at least until this program gets turned around in a way where, you know what, you can afford to spend a little bit more time on them.
Absolutely. You want to be able to give guys the right attention. like I said, when I got to Nebraska in 2002, I guarantee you some of the main coaches did not even know some of those guys' names because there's just too many kids. I remember running into Greg Bull, like in the middle of the hallway, and be like, "Hey, coach," he'd be like, "Hey, you." Like, he didn't even know who the hell I was, and I was a recruited freshman. So I just think they got so much stuff they're kind of dealing with. Listen, I want every kid that wants to come play football at Nebraska that is able to some extent to come play. I want them to experience that. But I also, want them to come here and have a good experience as well. And I know the coaches want to be able to give them the right attention and have them understand what they're trying to accomplish and day in and day out. And sometimes you just get too many guys and you can't get enough accomplished throughout the day. So I do think if there is a fine line to having, too many guys on the roster.
Jay Moore's with us. 10 to 12 invited preferred walk-ons, I think, could be the number.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, this was awesome, man. Awesome to chat walk-ons. Awesome to chat Super Bowl with you. Thanks for a few minutes with us today.
You got it, guys. I enjoy it as always.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Attention! Per the current government mandate, U.S.-based insurers are now required to cover at-home COVID testing kits with no out-of-pocket fees to you. If you have a current insurance plan, you are eligible to receive up to 8 COVID-19 tests shipped to you each month absolutely free as long as the government mandate is in effect. Visit yourfreetest.net to register now. That's yourfreetest.net to receive your tests shipped to you at no cost. Go to yourfreetest.net. Medicare insured or not eligible.
Husker fans, this is Matt Davison with the 1890 Initiative. You've probably heard about NIL, name, image, and likeness, and now you can have an immediate impact on the success of our programs. The 1890 Initiative, Nebraska's premier NIL company, and with your help, we can maximize our student athletes' opportunities with NIL and prepare them for life at college. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics. Let's do the same with NIL. To learn more, visit 1890nebraska.com, where 100% of your donation goes directly to Husker student athletes. That's 1890nebraska.com.
Whoa, is that an Apple HomePod Mini? This sounds amazing. Heck yeah, bestie. I got it from members of and when I consolidated my debt. Wait, so you're saying when I move a credit card or loan balance over, I can drop debt faster with great interest rates and get a free HomePod Mini? Mm-hmm. You get all that and free financial advice too. Now that sounds like music to my ears. Boost your financial power at Members Own. Move a pre-existing loan or credit card balance and get a free Apple HomePod Mini speaker. Restrictions apply. Go to membersowncu.org/boost for details.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path.
Sponsored by DHHS and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm weatherology meteorologist Mandy Faluber with your Capital City forecast. We have rain showers developing late in the overnight, cloud cover low 40s and south winds gusting up to 30. Breezy winds continue Tuesday, rain showers and highs in the low 50s. That's the forecast on Lincoln's ESPN. Right now, 58 degrees.
Get your sports fix here. ESPN Lincoln is on the air at 101.5 FM at 1480 AM. Online at espnlincoln.com. Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at hailvarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time at Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency for your equipment financing needs. Currency. So if you're a listener, just a friendly reminder that ESPN is flipping over to KFOR. And, hey, find us over on 1240 AM in the very near future.
But if you listen on the FM signal, which the sound is clear anyway, just to let you know for any AM listeners, it stays 101.5 moving forward for ESPN, or at least Hail Varsity Radio.
Yes. So find us 4 to 6 tomorrow. So and can stream KFORnow.com is one way, but we invite you to check things out as always on the Hail Varsity YouTube channel and the Hail Varsity Twitter handle. Good ways to watch the show at HVarsity Radio. Catch Damon and Andrew 7 to 9, and we'll be rocking and rolling 4 to 6.
Yeah, nothing changes for our podcast listeners. Nothing changes for our great listeners up in Omaha, Kearney, Hastings, Grand Island, Columbus. None of those places are affected. Just our local Lincoln listeners who listen over the air, a switch to our AM signal.
So, thoughts and hugs to Brendan. His deep freeze. Took a knee, 64 pounds of venison, beef, and pork. God, I am sorry, man. We'd help you. We'd help you eat it too.
See, I feel bad because if my deep freeze went out, I'd lose some popsicles, some frozen vegetables. I think I have a ham in there.
Stuff you don't need. That is venison, pork, and beef.
Yeah, that's the real stuff.
Real. Also, real NFL numbers. What was the tally?
It was over 100 million viewers.
Lord. 113 on average.
Averaged 113 million. The halftime show got 118 million. This was the most watched Super Bowl in the last 6 years and the third most watched show on television ever.
That's
Super Bowl
nuts.
57.
So you've got MASH, probably, that's still there. I don't know. For its time, the MASH finale. Yeah, what are the most watched shows?
You're
Googling away.
MASH averaged 105 million viewers.
Okay, so the MASH finale.
Super Bowl has beaten that, though.
Okay.
Most watched.
Hawkeye is not happy right now.
Let's see how updated Wikipedia is. Super Bowl. I don't know Roman numerals. Which one is that? Oh, the Patriots and Seahawks Super Bowl with the pick on the goal line down at the end. Is that
Malcolm Butler?
49? Is that what that is?
It might have been 37. 47.
XLIX. I still don't know Roman.
48.
48. You're better than me. So Super Bowl 48 is the most watched, followed by 47, and then 50.
Okay.
I'm not sure how up to date these numbers are, but they all averaged over 100 million. Basically, the top 10 is all a whole bunch of Super Bowls, and then MASH.
Okay.
Is the top 10 most watched.
Then there's MASH. Giants, Bills, Super Bowl 25. The Norwood kick is there. Seattle, New England, incredible. Rams, Titans, that finish was big time. Giants, Patriots, Broncos, Packers, that had a finish. Steelers, Cardinals was awesome.
I can actually zoom this out. The top 25 most viewed television shows ever are all Super Bowls plus MASH.
Man.
I thought maybe Dallas, the finale, would get into there, but nope.
That one kind of went out with a whimper. Back tomorrow. Plenty of thoughts. Huskers and Rutgers. Eddie Markowski, Mitch Sherman tomorrow.
Texting enrolls for recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message